of the Library Board of Trustees, Southern California Logistics Rail Authority, Southern California Logistics Airport Authority, Victorville Redevelopment Agency, Victorville Water District, and City Council of the City of Victorville. The first item that we have is the invocation, and that will be followed by the Pledge of Allegiance by Captain Mark Taylor. The invocation is by Pastor Innocent Odingwi from the Redeemed Christian Church of God King Assembly Parish. Sir?
Our God in heaven, as we come together this day as servants and leaders, let the light of your wisdom shine through our hearts, that we may lead both with excellence and fear of the Lord. Let your knowledge abound and overcome every mountain of challenge that rises in our daily duties and activities. Let the spirit of truth, honesty, transparency, integrity, love, and unity be found among us. Set your holy eyes upon this city to watch over us, and your mighty hand to build us into a stronger people. For you said in your word, Psalms 127 verse 1, except the Lord build a house, they labor in vain that build. Except the Lord keep the city, the watchman wake but in vain. Above all, bless this land for the sake of your beloved Son, Jesus Christ, who is and always will be our Lord and Savior. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. At this time, we have a special presentation by San Bernardino County Sheriff Rod Hoops. Sheriff, welcome.
Good evening, Mayor and members of the City Council. Mr. Cox, how are you? I want to thank the City of Victorville for giving me just a quick opportunity. As you know, approximately 1 month ago, I had the honor and the privilege to be able to fill out the last 2 years of our great retired Sheriff Gary Penrod. And what we're doing, or what I'm trying to do, is trying to go around to each of the cities and just kind of give the city councils and the staff an opportunity to put a name with a face. And we have a couple quick introductions, and I don't really need any introductions in this city, of course, but we've made a couple changes in our administration and our areas of responsibility. Many of you probably know Warren Nobles. He's been a fixture up in the high desert here for a long time. He's still going to be the assistant sheriff, but he's been moved over to the operations area, which covers all of patrol, narcotics, specialized, and stuff like that. So Warren is in the back there. And the gentleman to his left needs no introduction, but that's Deputy Chief Glenn Pratt. For the last couple of years, he's been a deputy chief overseeing our corrections division, and I'm happy to say for the last month, or the last couple of weeks at least, he's been the deputy chief assigned to Region 2, which are all the cities up here in the desert. So he needs no introduction, but we're very happy to have Glenn kind of back home. And Mark Taylor and Rod Torres will continue to be your police chief and your lieutenant assigned up here. And again, it's an honor to be here. This is our longest standing contract city of our 14 contract cities in the county, and it's a privilege to be able to serve as your sheriff. I have some big boots to fill, but we have a really wonderful team in place, and we don't anticipate any problems. Of course, we're having some budget issues like every other municipality and operation of government in the state, but with the wonderful staff we have, we believe we can get through those. So with that, I will entertain any questions if you have any of me. We're going to continue to keep doing providing the quality service to the citizens of Victorville that we always have. So
I don't have any question. I just want to compliment the department for the quality of police chiefs that we've had over the years, up through and including Mark Taylor, and of course Glenn Pratt. We've been blessed in this city with competent professionals, and while it is always a decision of the council, and I don't pretend to speak for the council, but my guess is that we will be your #1 contract city forever. We're very happy with the services that you provide to the 107,000 residents of this city, and I agree you got big boots to fill, but I'm told you can fill them. So
Thanks.
welcome to the city of Victorville and to the city family.
Well, thank you very much. Any other
I'd like
questions?
to also welcome you to, our new sheriff of the county of San Bernardino, and as you recall, may know I was the fire chief here for quite a while, and I always worked real closely with the sheriff department, so I've had a long-standing relationship with them, and I'm glad to see Nobles and Glenn get those assignments because they deserve them, and so we look forward to continue working, and we're like you say, we're the longest contract, and hopefully we'll just keep that going for forever.
I want to compliment you. You have a beautiful building here, too. Very nice.
Okay.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks.
Thank you. Our next item is public comment. Persons who wish to address the board on an agenda item are requested to complete one of the white cards, and they're located in the foyer, and bring them to our city clerk. And the public comment will be 3 minutes. Those that are here for CDBG, we already have your information on record and with staff. And if you're going to discuss the same information that you have with us, you don't really need to get up and do the public comment unless you feel compelled to do so. So we're not going to stop you. You're welcome to do that. So having said that, we'll open up public comment, item number 1. And I have Dorothy Miller.
My name's Dorothy Miller, and we had a petition taken out quite some time ago and had over 200 signatures about getting Eucalyptus Street put through. Eucalyptus Street is still not put through. Now, the fire station is going to be supposedly opening in April. The park, it's going to supposedly be done the end of this month. And we have a petition, and no one seems to know anything about the petition. Now, Norm stood up here and gave it to you, and it never happened. Then another thing, the water. We're still not up to date on the water bills. Somebody's got to get on the ball and get these water bills straightened out and up to date. Now, I don't know, you people have heard about it, you've heard about it, you've heard about it, and nothing's getting done. And it's really beginning to get to everybody in the city. And I would make the suggestion, everybody just stop paying your water bills until you guys get it straightened out. But that's not going to happen. And then last night we had the helicopter flying over and over and over the house. And I heard them, I heard the voices, and it kept saying, this is the police helicopter. And he kept going around, but you couldn't understand what he was trying to tell us. And that was not good, because I had no idea what they were trying to tell us, and they just kept circling around over the house and around back, and just kept going around and around and around. And I really would like to find out what it really was, but we could not find out because, of course, we couldn't understand what they were saying from the helicopter. Thank you.
Morris Bickley.
Thank you. I'm here, it's been a while since I've been here, but I'm here to speak on something that is really concerning me. I have 2 audio tape confessions from a neighbor that has expressed that my fellow neighbor, Peggy Johnson, wants to shoot and harm or kill my family. I've taken this information to the Victorville Police Department only for them to listen to it and tell me that there has been no crime committed and that there's nothing that they can do. Normally, I wouldn't be here because I said to myself, I'm not going to come here anymore, but however, this is important enough to where I feel that I have to be here once again. And this matter has gotten so far out of hand now to where I am not going to be laid out in my driveway just so the Victorville Police Department can be justified in doing their job when they should be doing it in the first place right now. This is very important to me. Once again, like I said, I have evidence of a neighbor wanting to harm or kill my family who I've had an ongoing problem with, and the police officer's lack of understanding on how a restraining order works is going to kill me or my family. This is very important. We need to get this right. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Bickley. Our police chief will be discussing this item with you. Thank you. Jacqueline Miles.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is my first time, and what I'm going to have to do is read it because I only have 3 minutes. Okay, at the corner of Hook and El Ivado, there's a large sign that says, "Liquor store opening soon." Kids walk past this place to go to Hook Junior High. The store will open in our neighborhood. This will raise crime in our area, where many low-income live. It will be a very inconvenient way for residents to purchase liquor. Now, in our general provisions of Chapter 1802, before 1985, the plan was in the existing residential area and those that will be developed in the future should be designed in a manner conducive to good community relations, protected from undesirable land use intrusions which would interfere with decent living conditions, and suitable located in respect to industrial, commercial, and recreational areas. So what I want to do is find out what I can do to stop the liquor store from opening, and why is it so close to the residential area, and most of the kids in that area, they have to pass the liquor store to get to the junior high school. Okay, that's my point, and thank you for hearing me.
Thank you. Mr. Bill Webb, will you please see Jacqueline Miles and discuss this with her, please? Carrie Leon. Leon.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for letting me speak this evening. My name is Carrie Leon. I'm the owner-broker of Agio Real Estate in Apple Valley, and I'd like to bring to the attention, I'm looking for some help or some direction in the water bills for the city of Victorville. We have a lot of realtors in the valley that are local that list properties, and our requirements are to turn the utilities on, which would be water, and then we have to pay these bills and get reimbursed. But the requirement with that is we have to have a current bill, and we have to pay within, we have to give them a bill that shows within 30 days. Bills are so late that we're not getting reimbursed. So a lot of local realtors are losing large amounts of money by not being able to get reimbursed because they're being declined. So that's a very big problem, and I was hoping that we could get some help with that. The bills are not clear. They don't spell out which month, which amount, so they will not reimburse. So that is a big problem, and a lot of realtors are losing a lot of money, so I was hoping to get some help with the billing. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Norman Nichols.
Good evening. Mayor and City Council, you presented to the Board of Supervisors an opportunity to consolidate two districts, both owned by water users. In that consolidation, you told the Board of Supervisors you would be saving, through your great efficiency, $3 million a year for us. You've had this water district now for less than 2 years, but you're already raising water rates to a level of profit that water districts who are a profit business are running at. This is not a profit business, it's a non-profit business. This is a service business, which is making $3 million a year from your efficient operation and another $4 million a year from your rate increase. What is this new profit utility doing with all these funds? Your cost of operations should not have really increased very much, in not to cover the millions that have been spent on the public. We need to look at using those funds to put in a public or purple line, which we were working with at one time before the consolidation, so that we don't use our potable water for things that we could use non-potable water for, such as irrigation, firefighting, and construction. There's no open discussion meetings as to what is going on in the future. I see you just have some on the agenda we'll look at. As the water users, I would like to know just what is going on with all the millions. The Mojave Audit Agency bill, which you based your increase on, is only going to take 1.8 million to cover that, because they're only used 53% of our water comes from MWA, the rest is from FPA, Free Production Allowance. It would be nice if you would let the water users know just what's going on with the things that are happening with these millions of dollars, and what is really needed for normal operations. Since you don't answer to PUC, you should account to your users. Thank you.
Eddie Carradine?
Good evening. Some of the questions I have to ask have already been echoed here today about the water district. I have a letter when Victorville sent out letters to the residents saying that if they took over the water district, that it would be more efficient and they wouldn't raise our rates. Since that time, I did somewhat of a little study, and our rates have gone up somewhat, 16% to some of us. Like it was echoed earlier, we have double billing. Spoke to a distinguished young lady today, Mrs. Morrison, and she was quite adamant about the fact that there is a problem with it. It's been going on now for almost 3 months. No one has a solution. So I'm addressing the council tonight because, excuse me, I belong to the Adelanto Victorville Democratic Committee Club. And some of these questions we're asking is why are the rates going so high and what purpose? As you well know, in this San Bernardino County alone, there are a lot of single senior citizens. We're at the rate of 58.6% of single senior citizens that are living on a low-income budget. And we can't understand why all the utilities have gone up in the last year. Some have gone up somewhat 21%, especially Edison has gone up somewhat like 18%. The gas company has gone up like 13%, and here we got the water district going up. I'd just like to know, what is the solution? What are we trying to do in Victorville? Run the people out and get people? I don't understand this. That's why I'm here tonight, to find out what is the council doing to help us alleviate this problem. Thank you.
Mayor Lee Reese?
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. My name is Marilee Reese, and I'm here representing High Desert Transitional Living Connection. And standing in agreement with me are Success Institute, Moses House Ministries, Making a Difference Ministries, the Gate Church of the High Desert, and Rose of Sharon Pregnancy Center. We are very interested in partnering with the City of Victorville in establishing transitional housing for the foster youth of our community as they age out or emancipate from the system, to provide them with housing while they pursue a higher education, vocational training, or on-the-job training, allowing them to reach their goals and aspirations, which will help ensure their future as viable, contributing assets to our community instead of liabilities. Without transitional housing, well, you have the statistics sitting in front of you. 65% leave foster care without any place to live. 50% remain homeless after the first 18 months. The pregnancy rate for teens is 6 times higher in foster youth than for their peers. 54% of males are incarcerated within 18 months. That's 1 in 2. And the list goes on. I believe together we can make a significant difference in the lives of our foster youth. We have a choice: spend our community tax dollars wisely by assisting our foster youth, or keep on spending $9.1 billion or more by offering them welfare, unemployment benefits, federally funded shelters, drug rehabilitations, incarceration, and ultimately foster care for the children's children, allowing the cycle to repeat itself. I know that the city has awarded transitional housing to 2 nonprofits in our community, and both are very worthy causes. But the foster youth children of our community are our future and our responsibility, and they need our help. And so I urge the City Council of Victorville to seriously consider a relationship, a partnership with us in an endeavor to making our community a better place. Thank you.
Thank you. I have a question. Are you an applicant with the CDBG funds?
I'm sorry?
We have funds, and the hearing is tonight. Are you an applicant?
No, I have not applied.
You're not, okay.
Thank you.
That concludes, well, just one more. Alice Fan?
Good evening. My name is Alice Fan, and I am a representative of Goodwill Southern California. We are an applicant of the CDBG funds. Goodwill Southern California's mission statement is transforming lives through the power of work. We have 11 workforce.
Did you say you're an applicant for the?
Yes.
Okay, that's item number 3 under the regular city council.
Okay.
And we're going to have a public hearing on that.
Okay, great, thanks.
That concludes the public comment section. We'll now go into our board meeting agendas. First is the Library Board of Trustees agenda. Is there any revisions?
No revisions.
None? Okay.
Move
Mr.
approval
Caldwell?
of the consent calendar.
Second.
Okay. And Mr. Caldwell, the Southern California Logistics, wait a minute, no, that's correction. Southern California Logistics Authority, Rail Authority agenda. Are there any revisions to the agenda?
No revisions.
Is there a motion to, there is none. Okay, very good, that's done. Southern California Logistics Airport Authority agenda. Mr. Caldwell?
Mayor Cabrialis, item 3 is a request to authorize a 6-month agreement with Guy Fox and Associates for consulting services related to marketing air cargo opportunities at the Southern California Logistics Airport. We have a staff report from Mr. Cox and from Mr. Soderquist. Questions or comments?
Approval.
I'll second it. Item 4 is a request to authorize a 5-month agreement with Jim Worsham for consulting services related to aviation marketing and business development for the Southern California Logistics Airport, and the amount of $166,666.66. Again, you have a staff report from City Manager Mr. Cox. Questions or comments?
Approval, that would be.
I would like to hear from Mr. Cox. He did have some comments on it.
I don't have, Mr. Mayor and Council, I don't have the report in front of me. Peter Soderquist notified me verbally, and he can confirm this. I made the statement that based upon our budget and based upon the financial conditions that were existing, I was reviewing all contracts and either cutting back or eliminating, depending upon if there could not be a show of good cause, and that primarily I'd like all contracts to be performance-based contracts, and that those people who contracts do perform, and that we have a gain, or we actually make money from the individuals from what we're paying. He submitted a list of Mr. Worsham's accomplishments. I think the council has that. He has been a very important part of the base, a very integral part of the base. But I did not find that a part of the contract was transportation, and I submitted that to the city council. And also then Peter Soderquist informed me that he had discussed this matter with Jim Worsham, who wanted to be able to keep the travel and expenses. And if I understood correctly, he was willing to take a half fee to keep those. But if you read the contract, this is for the regular fee of $333.33, and there is no mention in this of reimbursement for any expenses or travel. And since that is not in the last contract either, and I have no indication that that was approved, unless there is an amendment to this or the city council directs that a change be made, I cannot further pay that.
Well, what I would like to see is based on the information I have, I can't vote to approve this contract, but I would like to send it back to the city manager and let him look at it. But based on the information that I received in my packet, I can't vote for this. That's just me. So I don't know if there's a motion in order.
We want to modify the motion to refer it to the city manager. I'll do that. I'm willing to speak to the motion because to me it's. If you want to reroute it back to the city manager, as I understood it, and this is probably prevalent to a number of things that we've had under the previous city manager, there are agreements that have not been in a contractual form, have not come before this council. Whether that was appropriate or not, neither is here nor there. We have a city manager now that says, I want contracts, I want them voted on by the council. That would certainly be an appropriate thing to do as well. But if this motion is here to continue Jim Worsham in the capacities of that. Now, I mean, the things that he's done for this city and this airport out here are in the millions, not even close to his salary, not to mention the fact that he's been paying some of the AP instructors out there for some time now over in excess of $100,000 out of his city salary. So those are things in the list there, some 20 or 30 that he's personally been responsible for. So however you want that process to take place, debate it tonight or pass it back to the city manager. I'll withdraw the motion if that's what you're going to do.
I would like myself to give it back to our city manager to look at it and develop an agreement that's acceptable to him.
I'll withdraw the motion.
Well, I just would echo Councilman Rothschild's comments. The city is very, very fortunate to have had Mr. Worsham involved in the affairs of Southern California Logistics Airport. I don't know whether there are contract documents or not. I know that virtually every good thing that has occurred at the base, like Boeing and Pratt & Whitney and essentially all of the big ticket companies that are out there, FedEx, Orbis. They're all there exclusively because of the professional reputation and expertise of
The
Jim
tin
Worsham.
tanker, these are
Tanker's
all,
another one.
he's been personally
So,
responsible getting here.
I don't have a problem with the city manager and his staff making sure that the appropriate contracts and documents are prepared, and hopefully that could occur so it would be back before us at the next council meeting. But we get far more out of Mr. Worsham for this community and for job creation than we pay him. And however it's got to be structured is up to the city manager and Mr. Worsham. But
And I understand that his contribution to the airport. As a matter of fact, it was just we were just there last week for the certification of aviation school that just started. So we understand it. I think we need to document everything so we don't have any loose contracts like we seem to have.
Just since you and I were at that ceremony, that school was the first time in 25 years an AP school has been put into place. And the reason is it's because of the huge bureaucratic issues that are associated with putting an AP school out, because the graduates of that school are people that are certified to work on airplanes that are flying in the sky. And as they drop out of the sky and there's a major event, it takes a year to analyze all of the accident components. No small part of that accident analysis are the people that are working on the airframes and the avionics portions of that airplane. This school is incredible. It's a signature school. There's only I don't know how many there are, spread around the country, but the fact is that at our airport out here, this is precisely what we want to be. We want to be one of those international full-service garages for the major airlines, if you will. And Jim Worsham has personally been responsible for getting that with a cadre, a team of people that he's surrounded, and he's paying salaries out of his own paycheck simply to make sure that everything was in place until last, was it Friday we were there, Mayor Gabrielis and I were there, and we have the certificate now, the first time in 25 years. Incredible achievement.
And I don't disagree with that. I just think we need to
well,
formalize.
as Mayor commented, unless there's disagreement from the council, I would simply have item 4 continued to the next regularly scheduled council meeting, and hopefully Mr. Cox and Mr. Worsham will sort out the issues and back before us.
If I might, I just would add that I think it's important now we have a new city manager that we heed his opinion on these items, and on both of these contract extensions for whatever length of time they are. He was not in a position to recommend approval to the council unless Mr. Cox comes back with a recommendation for approval. Regardless, Mr. Worsham, I hear from this council that you've been very valuable. I don't discount that in any way, but if we cannot, and for some reason, pay this bill going forward, then if his recommendation is for us not to, then I'm going to have to follow our city manager's recommendation. That's what we have him there for.
Okay.
Items 5, 6, and 7 are closed session items for the reasons that are enumerated on the agenda.
Chairman call whether there is a need to add an item pursuant to Government Code 54954.2B2. The airport director wants to seek a ratification of an FAA grant in the amount of $1,318,073 for Phase 2 of the engine run-up area. This just came to Mr. Soderquist's attention, and apparently the documents needed to be submitted today, so we need the board's ratification of the grant application. You need to vote to approve that it occurred after the posting of the agenda and there's immediate need, and then you'd have to take an action on the item.
Well, I'll move the findings to add it to the agenda based upon the city attorney's comments.
We will need to take a voice vote on this item since it is not on the agenda.
Second. Oh, I'm sorry. I thought that was the I thought I saw Joanne's name up there. What does that mean? Withdraw.
I didn't move anything.
No.
No.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
No, I didn't touch the. No.
All those in favor of adding this as an urgency item?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Unanimous. The basic grant, as I understand it, from the FAA is $1,318,073 for Phase 2 of the engine run-up area project. It's inconceivable to me that anyone would be in opposition to accepting a million-plus grant, but I solicit comments from my colleagues on the dais.
Our matching share from Mr. Caldwell would be $69,000.
That's correct. $69,372 to be exact. Is there a motion?
I move it.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? None. Carried, unanimous. That concludes the Airport Authority agenda with the exception of the closed session items. Mr. Mayor?
We now go back to the Victorville Redevelopment Agency agenda. And are there any revisions?
No revisions.
We have a public hearing. And this is a request to authorize the agency to enter into a land swap agreement with the acquisition of real property, to designate the Director of Economic Development as the authorized signer of related transactional documents, and adopt resolution number 09001. I will now open up the public hearing. All those for or against item number 3? Is everyone for or against item number 3? Hearing none, I will close the public hearing and entertain a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
Written communications, item number 4, the request to approve an authorized identification agreement by and between the city and the agency, and to approve and designate the Director of Economic Development as the authorized signer of related transactional documents. Entertain a motion.
So moved.
Second.
Councilman Caldwell and Rothschild.
I punched it, it comes up, and then it goes away.
I'll put it in there for you.
Okay.
Thank you.
Item number 5 is a request to award a contract to Pacific Municipal Consultants of Rancho Cordova, California, for the revision of the Old Town Midtown Specific Plan, and 2, to approve and designate the Director of Economic Development as the authorized signer of related transactional documents. I'd like to make a motion.
Second. Third it.
Okay, item number 6 is going to be a closed session and it's enumerated in the agenda. Victorville Water District agenda. Any revisions?
No revisions.
We have a consent calendar.
Move for approval.
Second.
Councilmember Almond, I need a vote from you. Thank you.
Okay. Item number 4 is a request to amend the service provider agreement with Krieger and Stewart Incorporated to add design and construction phase tasks and increase the not to exceed amount of $65,300, and to extend the term of the contract until June 30th, 2010 for the equipment of well 144. For a motion.
Move for approval.
Second.
I hope everybody that was complaining is still here.
Item number 5, there's a request to amend the 2008-2009 capital improvement plan to include the SCLA Northern Reclaimed Water Line and reallocate $900,000 from another project to fund this pipeline. And we do have someone who wants to speak on this item, Norman Nichols.
Mr. Mayor, City Council, since you have decided that you need to consolidate 3 units, water, sewer, and trash, presumably you're distributing those funds in the same manner, and I make a presumption that this $900,000 that you want to put into the sewer system is not going to come out of our water money. And that is my concern, that the funding be disseminated in a proper manner and accounted for. Thank you.
Any questions? Motion's in order.
I'll move the request. Second. Mr. Mayor, perhaps we should ask the city manager to comment on the restricted funds and how the $900,000 comes to project. It may make Mr. Nichols may address his concern.
Mayor and Council, I can speak on the restricted funds and how those are allowed, but since this was submitted by Reggie Lamson and John McGlade, city engineer, they've worked on that substantially. They briefed me. I'd request that either Reggie Lamson, director of water district, or the water department, or John McGlade give that explanation, because this water directly affects that. This amount directly affects that function. That's acceptable.
Mr. Mayor and City Council, the Northern Reclaimed Water Line would be used for conveying what's known as Title 22 water. If you will, it is much closer to potable water than it is to domestic wastewater. The project is tied into the ultimate plan for reuse of water from sewage treatment for cooling purposes at the power project. We are already using it for irrigation purposes at West Winds Golf Course. What we're doing is transferring funds within a water district capital improvement plan. It's not a project that appears in the sewer capital improvement program.
What other project was that transferred from?
It was a Mesa Linda sewer line. That's something that we don't need to do right now. It was put in the capital improvement program at a point when we believed that it had a more urgent need than it actually does, partially due to the slowdown in development.
The goal, Mayor and Council, as you know, in fact, is in line with some speakers that you've had, and that is to reclaim and reuse the water rather than pump potable water from out of the ground and save that water for domestic use, and use reclaimed water wherever we can, and that's part of this project.
Is there a motion?
And a vote has already been taken on this item.
We already vote?
Yes.
Already voted.
Oh. Okay. Item number 6. We have a presentation of the utility building, and who's going to do that?
That would be the director of the water department,
Okay.
Reggie Lamson.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, Council. At the last council meeting, it was requested that we provide a update on the consolidated utility billing. The 5 affected departments have got together, put together this presentation, gave you a written report, and this is a PowerPoint summary of that. The 5 departments that are affected are the Water Department, Public Works, the IS Department, Customer Service under the City Clerk's Department, and Finance Department. So there we go. So let's start from the beginning, how bills are generated. The sanitation bills, which include sewer, trash, storm drain, and hazardous waste, those are typically a fixed bill, same dollar amount each month. Water bills, of course, vary from month to month, so we start with reading the meters. We have a meter service operator, goes out, reads the meter, keys it into a handheld computer, essentially, downloads that information, and that information is transferred to the Finance Department. Finance Department does a quality control check. You know, is the reading reasonable? Is it 30 units or 3,000 units? If it's not reasonable, they put out a work order, and the meter service operator will reread the meter to find the error. Once we're satisfied with the quality control, Finance generates the bills and mails them out. The customer service then responds to customers' questions, and if everyone's happy, they pay the bill, and then we repeat the process every month. Why did we consolidate the bills? Prior to merging the Victor Valley Water District, the Baldy Mesa Water District, the SCLA Water Company under the City of Victorville, we merged those 3 districts together and became subsidiary to the City of Victorville. The people were receiving 2 bills. They were receiving a water bill from either the 3 water districts and a sanitation bill. Now we merged the bills together, so they receive 1 bill every month. So, why did we do this? It was we were sending out about 80,000 bills a month for the 2 items. So by consolidating them, we cut that in half. Just in printing costs, postage, and then bank costs to process the checks received, we're saving about $300,000 just on those materials alone. That doesn't count for staff time to process all that data. If you throw that in, we're well over $500,000 a year rather, by consolidating the bills. So that's why we were in a hurry to do it, because every month we wait, we lose tens of thousands of dollars. So that was the reason why we rushed on this item. And how did we get here? The timeline. We merged the water districts together with the city in August of 2007. In September, the departments began considering alternatives about the best way to consolidate the bills. The sanitation bills were transferred from whatever financial system they were using to the PeopleSoft system that we're now using in October of 2007. They continue to determine ways to consolidate the bills, and on July 1st of 2008, we decided to send out 1 set of bills. We sent out some bills in July, had some problems, so we didn't actually send out all the bills until August of 2008. There continued to be some issues, and we did miss the month of July, so there was 2 months showing up on the bills, and in an effort to ease the pain, if you will, to the customers, we changed the bill due time from 30 days to 45 days. And we thought we were doing a good thing, but as that turned out, it came and bit us in the end. But in December, we sent out 2 bills to the majority of our customers to catch up for the month we missed in July. January, we sent out the remaining double bills, if you will, to the other 25%. And by the end of January, we had mailed out all the bills for December, and we were essentially caught up. We billed for December's usage in January. But the majority of those bills were sent out towards the end of the month. So that caused long lines because everybody got their bill at the same time. Everybody came to pay their bills at the same time. So in February, we changed the schedule so that we would send out approximately 10,000 bills every week, and so to spread out the workload for all departments.
Wait, before you leave that, when you get back to your desk and stuff, that strip chart should be on one of our stories on our internet site so people can click and see that. It really tells a story when you look across there and where they're finding problems and everything else. It helps to visualize at least what was going on for the 2 years, whether they agree whether screw-ups happened or didn't. Nevertheless, that strip chart looks good. I wish the Daily Press would publish it as well, because it's quite a storyline.
All right. Because we did extend the due date to 45 days from 30, what we had happen is we send out a bill, say the 1st of August. It wasn't due till the middle of September, but the next bill, September, 1st of September, we sent out a second bill. It would show a unpaid balance from August, so it would have the August bill and the September bill. Look like a double bill. So that 45-day payment period has caused a lot of questions and confusion. And now because of that, we instituted that send out 10,000 bills every week, and shortened the due date back to 30 days. And we got out a calendar because we wanted to make sure we weren't making bills due on holidays or on Mondays or on Fridays. And we marked down each of the 10,000 bills per week and made sure that they were due approximately a week before we sent out the next bill. So we're hoping that this will minimize those double bill appearances. Then we've had a lot of concerns about the rates. The sanitation bills go up usually on an annual basis, and they did that again this year I believe in the fall. So now all the sanitation bills, the 4 components, sewer, storm drain, hazardous waste, and trash, total an average of $44. The average water bill is right around $54. Combining the two, you get a bill for $100 when you're used to getting bills for $50. So it has the appearance that I'm getting this $100 bill, but it's for all of the services. We were still concerned about the price of the water, so we did a quick survey a couple of weeks ago of 9 water districts within the Victor Valley. We have this chart here. We figured an average water use of about 32 units, and the average cost valley-wide is about $54. District 1 of the Victorville Water District is 5% below that. District 2 is 5% above that. As you see, 3 water districts are lower rates than us. 5 water districts are higher than us. Of those 9 water districts, only the Victorville Water District has to treat for the new regulation for arsenic. Recently, the EPA, a couple of years ago, changed the maximum contaminant level for arsenic from 50 parts per billion to 10 parts per billion. We have about 17 of our 40 wells that have arsenic levels at 12 parts per billion. So just over the new requirement, significantly under the old requirement, but we have to treat it nonetheless. We had to spend $30 million for the 4 treatment plants to remove that arsenic. And we also have to spend $1.4 million annually to operate those plants. So even with that enormous expense, we're still right in the middle compared to our neighboring water districts. So by doing things like consolidating the bills, we have added expense with arsenic, but we can reduce the expense of sending out the bills, and that's how we're able to keep our rates consistent with the neighboring water districts.
Reggie, does every water district have to pay does every water district's basin or drawdown come into the arsenic story, or are some do and some don't?
We studied the arsenic extensively to try to minimize the cost. We looked at 12 different treatment methods. We looked at all of our wells, tried to make rhyme nor reason. We all have a well that's, you can throw a rock to the other one. One will have arsenic, one won't. They're screened the same way. We never did find a definitive pattern. You just test the water. Is it over or isn't it? We had a well over in Midtown that was, I think, 5 or 7 parts per billion, and then over a period of about a year, 2 years, it creeped up, and now it's at 11. So we had to build a pipeline to tie it into the arsenic treatment facilities. So we just have to deal with it as it comes up.
I think it's significant.
No real pattern.
I think it's significant to note that there are some of the water districts who have no treatment for arsenic. It's not present, or it's present in such small amounts it requires no treatment, as opposed to the treatment for the 2 districts here of approximately $30 million. Have no control of it. And in case anybody's wondering, arsenic is naturally occurring. It's not from some foreign contaminant or surface contaminant. It's naturally occurring in the ground.
And there was, there was really no serious studies. I was watching that carefully. There was no serious study as to why you would set those standards. I mean, you can. Technology was there. But nobody could really explain why the whole country had to wave your hand across and everybody had to meet this new standard. If you had 2 water districts together, you could blend the water even and get a lower rating. But one happened to be one place and one the other, and within a few miles of each other. Extraordinary cost to various water districts. Some are paying prices they ought not to have had to pay. It wasn't. I'm not a scientist, but the scientists that were making their statements at that time were saying this occurs naturally. The standard that you're setting here is ridiculously high. Yeah, maybe it is better that we have less, but the fact is we all have some in our system. So they drew a line, and that line is very costly if you cross it.
Even with the additional mandated cost of the treatment for arsenic, your rates are right in the middle there, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, everyone works real hard to keep the costs down.
Any other question?
Got a couple more slides.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Now that we have the billing process where we're billing for previous usage, now we're going to make refinements. A new process that we're just bringing into effect now is the utility bill review process, where if the customer service representative can't give a satisfactory answer to the customer's concerns, we're going to present them with a form that they can list their concerns. We'll distribute it to the affected 5 departments, give that customer a written response. Then they'll be encouraged to go over that response with staff. If they're still unsatisfied, then of course they can bring their concerns to you folks. But that's a new form that we're going to hopefully be able to answer folks' questions. And then it's just a matter of the 5 departments continuing to work hard together and continuing to refine this. We're accumulating usage data. Excuse me, I think we're up to about 8 months, and once we get up to 12, then that nice previous usage graph that used to be on the water bill will reappear on these new consolidated bills. So that's another nice tool for the customers to use, and that's probably about 4 months away. So, yeah. Any questions on the utility bills?
I have one, Reggie. Utility bills now include the sanitation?
Yes.
Yeah, on all the bills?
No, there are some commercial customers have still separate bills. There's exceptions, such as if there's 2 homes on the lot, we send water bills to each of the homes and then a separate sanitation bill, because we haven't had time to get to every customer and say, okay, which house do you put the sanitation on? Do we put it on the rental house, or do we put it on where you're living? So those types of details are still need to be worked out. And that's why there's 40,000 bills and we have 36,000 customers, because there's some bills that are still separate from water and sewer, especially on commercial customers.
Okay, because we have commercial, so our renter will be getting 2 bills instead of 1 with everything on it?
The rental,
Our renter, he has trash, he has the water. So he will be getting 2 bills instead of 1?
we can have a customer service person call you and say, how would you like it? Would you like it on one bill so that the tenant pays for that, or do you still want to receive separate bills? Because everyone's different with those rental and type agreements.
Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions?
Yeah, obviously, Reggie, this has been an ongoing issue, and I appreciate you and the rest of the departments involved putting together this report. It does explain some things. Obviously, we could look back and go, was this the right decision? I mean, you came from the Victorville Water District where the billing system worked. Our city manager sat on that board where they put in place that system that worked. It seems to me that there was not enough testing of the billing system, parallel testing to what existing systems we were using versus this new system. And I think it's just important that we learn a lesson from this and that we don't get into the situation again. And am I hearing you say to us that we can assume that the problems are going to cease to exist? Because I really have this issue with this continuing to go on. I mean, we had more public comment here tonight, and as much as I can appreciate a team effort, the one thing that becomes problematic is now I got to go to Jim and say, Jim, you've got 5 department heads involved that can't fix a problem. It becomes his problem, and it shouldn't be his problem. So does the buck stop with you, or who's in charge of this overall system? Because having 5 bosses doesn't make a whole lot of sense when you've got all these people that have these concerns, and they don't stop. They just continue to occur, city council meeting after city council meeting, in between city council meetings. And, you know, going back to the double bill situation, it would seem to me that if our system was so sophisticated, all it'd have to do is search for common addresses. Because even I received 2 billings when the system first started, and I came to realize very quickly that it was because one system had a space between the MC and E in my last name, and the other did not. But the addresses were the same. So if our system is so sophisticated, it should be able to find those common addresses and determine with the customer if they should be appropriately consolidated. No one argues the merits of consolidating the bills. I completely buy into your presentation and the fact that it saves us money. But the problems that it's caused seem to indicate that we did not do proper parallel testing beforehand. It was just a decision that was shoved down the throats of the residents of the city of Victorville. And without that proper testing, it's the reason we've had all these problems, and you all have had to endure so many headaches, as well as the council has had to field so many complaints. So I want some assurance here tonight that this is it. We're done, and it's fixed.
It is fixed. We we had 4 comments right after the council meeting. Some that were at the council meeting, one that wasn't, that were in the paper. We've addressed those comments, and we provided how we address those. As far as where does the buck stop, it goes up to Carol Lee, because she's in charge of customer service. And if there's still an issue that needs to be resolved, we have to still meet with the customer, then I meet with them. I met with Yvonne Mashak yesterday. She was the woman that spoke at the council meeting 2 weeks ago, and showed her the history, and she's going to go check her records, and if we made an error, didn't post something, we'll correct her bill. So she was very happy and a very nice person. I'm going to meet with Mrs. Tyler, who you got a phone call from the runner's office. next Monday to do the same thing. So as far as where does the buck stop? Me, when it's all said and done?
No, it stops with Carol Lee, because I've seen her catch, I'm going to be a nice lady, heck.
Yeah, I've only
I
met
mean,
with one
you
person.
hiding.
Yeah,
up
she
there,
does a great
she's
job.
up front. Yeah, but she shouldn't, because she's getting the end of the whole thing. In fact, tonight, Reggie, I handed her 3 of my bills tonight.
Okay.
That need to be taken care of.
And we have a commitment by all the individuals that are on this team to not only handle those, but where people have complaints that we follow up. And I have to tell you, I got a call at home, very distraught individual, didn't know what to do because she would receive the bill, pay it, and the next month the bill was larger. And she would pay it, and the next month it was larger. And I told her, please come in to the office. I will take the time to go with you. We will pull the account and find out what the problem is. Because she gave me her name and address, we had the employees to pull the account, and turned out to be that it was a credit. In other words, don't pay, but she was reading it, she owed it and paying it, and so the credit was getting larger and larger every month. And we finally informed her, please don't pay, we're going to send you a check.
Oh, that's good.
She's very happy.
Oh, I'll
She's
bet
very
she
frustrated
is.
that this bill kept growing. We have found out that there are other people in that situation where they're overpaying, and we can't get them to stop paying when we show that it's a credit. And we supposedly now, we're pulling those and calling up and saying, it's a credit, don't pay the bill. We don't know what else to do because most people look at it, send a check, which naturally means the following month it's larger. You have to explain better what a credit is rather than just a sign from accounting purposes. But we've apparently had several of those, and I can understand the frustration if they didn't understand it. And of course, in this instance, I think we owe this lady $300 or something. I forget what the amount, but it was continuing to grow each month. But we're going to make sure that, because one of the most important things that we provide is customer service, the service to the public, and it's very important to all the people involved. That's what this team has committed to, and so they're following up on those. Even when it comes to them indirectly, we still pull the bill, look it up, contact the individual, make sure we can work the problem out. And I'm assured, too, I'm late on this, but I'm assured, too, that almost all of these have been worked out. It was interesting to look at, let's do a favor and put the due date off. And that in itself caused major problems because when the next bill comes, some people pay a bill as soon as they get it, others put it in a file and pay it, before it's due. Well, they were getting a bill before they paid it. And some people were sending the bill and were crossing in the mail. So we had to cut it back down so that hopefully they would be paid before the next bill. That just caused a major amount of problems. And it was actually caused because it was a goodwill effort to help the individuals because of the billing that occurred late in the season. It caused more problems and so all of these have been corrected. They've looked at it. They're getting back on schedule. I'm assured that not more than the normal kind of problems that will occur with 40,000 billings should start occurring, I guess, by mid of this month, and certainly no later than the first of next month. But most of the individuals involved believe that the problems are now taken care of. There'll be those isolated ones that we haven't followed up on, but they will do so.
I don't understand, though, why commercial properties will be continuing to have 2 bills. I mean, if we're doing it for all the homes, why aren't we doing it with the commercial?
I don't know, but I thought it was up to the way the individuals wanted that building. Some have tenant agreements to provide other things, but I really can't answer that. I'm going to leave that up to.
I believe that was a policy decision of the finance staff. I believe wanted to keep it that way. They are actually handling the commercial accounts exclusively. They just felt that it would be easier to keep that with them because they have some unique situations with the commercial accounts. That's my understanding.
But we'll get you an answer. We'll get you a reason. It might not be the answer, but we'll give you a reason why and look at it whether or not we need to change that policy.
I'd like to commend Mr. Cox and the team for getting this thing fixed. I understand that there'll be those, from time to time, there'll be those things that occur in the normal process of doing that. So let's not get all panicky when those things happen, and consider that is sometimes those things occur. And but I'm glad to see the team get together and working together as you should as a team and fixing the problem.
Well, thank you, but, it's mostly Carol Lee and Reggie and the individuals. Doug has been involved in that team effort, and we're working together. Doug has kind of made sure that policies of the council and the administration get incorporated into the group, but they work very hard, and they deserve the credit for putting that together, and I appreciate it. There are still other issues that are hanging that keep coming up. We will address those. The lady tonight that brought to your attention about the lag on the bills caused a problem with real estate. I know exactly what that is. We're going to be looking into that. We'll be calling that individual. We'll see what the conflicts were in the past and take whatever corrective measure we have. But there's some of them that will be lingering, but we'll address all of them before this is over, and hopefully address them as soon as possible, and it will be over pretty soon.
On that real estate issue, we have met with several realtors, got their input, and we are working on a policy so that they basically can get an on-demand bill, and there's not a lag, and they can receive a bill that says final bill on it.
Yes, Ms. Carrie Leon, Mr. Dredger will see you after the meeting, and if you have a question, yeah. Any question? Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I just want to say, thinking through the merger of 3.5 separate billing systems, I don't want to minimize the problems that some people experienced, but a lot of people didn't experience any significant problems. I think as we work through the merger of these systems and the consolidation, ultimately it will work to everyone's advantage. And I just want to compliment all of the people who have had to put up with an awful lot of criticism, sometimes go down and listen to the people in line waiting to pay their bill or to see somebody from customer service, and they've taken a hell of a beating. And I think our staff has done yeoman's work to try and help the public deal with a very, very difficult situation. And I'm confident that the folks involved will have these wrinkles resolved. But I think we all ought to say thank you to the people on the front line who've been taking an awful lot of heat. Bitch.
And there is a saving of, like you mentioned, almost $500,000, so that's commendable.
Worth it.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Let's see. We're now going into the City of Victorville City Council agenda. Any revisions?
No revisions.
No revisions. Okay. We have a public hearing. Item number 3 is a public hearing. Public hearing call to receive citizen and agency comments regarding the city's needs and strategies for 2009-2010 annual action plan, and 2, to receive testimony and consider applications for projects that have been submitted to the city for HCD grants for fiscal year 2009-2010. Do we have a report from staff before we start?
Mr. Mayor and members of council, this is our annual process to which we actually hear testimony from applicants that are pursuing CDBG funds. This year, council members McEachran and Almond have been appointed to the committee, to which my staff is preparing a brief presentation first this Thursday to kind of give them an overview as to not only how the program works, what we've accomplished in the past, and perhaps set a tone for what we expect to accomplish in the forthcoming fiscal year. I think the goal this evening, of course, is to take the testimony from the applicants, hear anything new that is introduced beyond the applications that you already have. And then I think with that, it'd probably be appropriate, if you can, to start giving some thought to prospective policy so that when we meet as a committee next Thursday, that we have some guidance from a policy perspective as to how perhaps we should be ranking and qualifying the applications. We do expect at the next council meeting then to come forward with recommendations for actual awards. So with that, I don't have anything further to add.
Thank you. I'll now call the public meeting to open up the public meeting. We do have around about 7 cards, and everybody takes 3 minutes. We'll be here for a while. So we do have the information. If you would just, when you come up there, just summarize, or if you have new information, you can, provide the new information. And so I will start with Deborah Davis, Legal Aid Society.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council. Thank you for your time and attention this evening. I don't want to repeat anything that's in the application, but your letter announcing this did ask some questions. The service that we provide is here in the city of Victorville. We drive up from San Bernardino twice a month. We appreciate the funding that you have supplied in the past. The work that we do expands services to more people. We've also expanded services to include conservatorships as well as the guardianships that we've been doing and the family law. We provide free consultations, and for the indigent clients that we're working for, we prepare the paperwork to allow them to get into court, to access court orders, to eliminate domestic strife disputes, and most importantly, to enable those who are caring for children of absent parents and disabled adults to provide all the legal orders that allow them to provide total care. We know that this minimizes the amount of time that your law enforcement officers are required to put into resolving domestic disputes. We know that it minimizes the amount of public resources that are used to rescue people who cannot resolve their own problems. We also see a systemic change in that we are having multi-generation come to us to take action to resolve their problems rather than rely upon public resources. We are listed with the 211 program. We receive referrals from virtually every court office, Child Protective Services, Department of Children's Services, Department of Aging and Elderly, and various other private and public agencies. We will use the fund to support the staff and the travel time to come here, as outlined in a budget. And if there are any other questions that you have, I would just like to thank you for your time and your efforts and appreciate the support in the past.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Judy Morris, Moses House.
Mr. Mayor and council members, I don't have too much to say tonight. I'm probably relieved about that, but I did want to say that our board of directors will probably be revising our budget on Monday evening to accommodate the fact that we're not going to be able to spend as much money as we thought on rent on a larger facility for an interim until our new resource center is built, and so it will probably shave almost $9,000 off that budget. Excuse me, let me go back. $90,000 off the budget that you have, and I just wanted you to keep that in mind as you're looking at it. We're trying to be very realistic, although we, like probably most of the agencies that you see here today, are receiving more business, more people reaching out to us in these times than ever before, and over 600 of the women that, the families that we served last year came from the city of Victorville, which is where we're located and plan to be located in our new facility, so we're here for a long term. And so if you have any, it's hard to ask questions about something that hasn't happened yet, but I just wanted to apprise you of that, that we're not trying to overreach in our budget. It just needs to be a little bit more realistic, and we're going to be adding some of the offices that we would have had in a larger facility in the facility that we have now so that we can expand our case management, which is a huge problem for us right now, and some of our support services. So thank you very much for your support in the past.
Cassandra Black, Sexual Assault Services.
Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. I just wanted to say thank you for your past support and quickly update you on how the funding is helping us to serve this community. Consistently, our Victorville office is handling about 100 sessions, counseling sessions a month, and we begin as early as age 5. And right now, if we consider all of the high desert communities, we are serving 40 to 50% of Victorville's residents. Also, in 2008, we met with the Victorville School District, and they approved a predators training for their educators and staff members. And because of the success of that predators training in 2009 and 2010, we will be actually providing a prevention education program for the elementary school students in terms of our prevention. And so that will allow us to reach thousands of elementary school age children. And so we just want to thank you for your support, and it allows us to continue serving this community.
I got to have a question.
Yes.
Your sexual assault program, and you have a program in the elementary school level that
Prevention
you're doing
education.
What? Huh?
We do prevention education to the community and for the community, and that would include the elementary school age children.
I'd like to see some of that curriculum.
We started.
I'm curious. I'm not challenging anything at all. I'm just simply, I'd like to see some of that material.
That's no problem. We begin as early as preschool age. Thank you. Any other questions?
Thank you. Karen Goodyear, the Inland AIDS Project. Claire Barras and Anita Gomez. Better way.
Good evening, Mayor Cabriolas and council members. Again, I won't be before you long because, as Judy said, you really know our program, and we do want to thank you for your past and current support of what we have been doing for over 20 years. The funding that we're asking for this time is, as always, just to maintain the services that we provide to the citizens of Victorville. And we are listed with the 211 service. We're getting a lot of referrals from them, as well as the Victorville Chamber of Commerce. So we just want to continue to maintain the services that we have been providing and continue to show victims that there is a better way. Is there any question? All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Julie Debrick, St. John of God.
Thank you. Our program, Samaritan's Helping Hand, provides emergency services of rental assistance, a food pantry, and utility payment assistance for those that are very poor and homeless. And what I wanted to do was just call your attention to the expanding need for rental assistance here in Victorville. We are seeing a whole new population, and that is of seniors and the newly poor, those people that have lost their jobs, lost their retirement, or lost their savings. And these are people that are not the chronic users of services. They're, like I said, newly coming in. And the comment we hear over and over again is, I can't believe I'm here. And once somebody loses their home, it's so difficult to save the money to get back into housing. So it is a critical need that keeps those who are at risk from losing their homes. Samaritans currently, we get between 2,000 and 6,000 phone calls each month from people requesting help, and these calls come in 24/7, 3:30 in the morning, 4 in the morning. You just can't believe it. And just sometimes it's just a little bit of help at the right time can make all the difference, and for these people, it really can. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ellis Fan of the Goodwill. That concludes the cards, and so I'll close the public hearing. And Keith?
Just couple of quick things. I do stand corrected. The CDBG committee is actually meeting tomorrow. So it would be helpful to the extent you feel appropriate, if there is any policy decision to discuss, that perhaps we do that today. If not, we'll rely on the committee to help develop the recommendations for the next council meeting. I think just a clear point of focus that as an entitlement city, we are obligated to spend these monies to benefit public service and public service-related type projects that benefit the low and moderate income households within the targeted areas, the CDBG targeted areas that are actually approved by HUD. So with that, myself and my staff are available for any more questions or comments.
What's the total that we have available for, not for the, that's for the social services part?
Give us both numbers.
Tamara, you want to, which one? 135,000 for the public services.
And the other?
Yeah, broken down in second page, 135,000 for public services, about 585,000 for construction projects, 180,000 approximately for administrative costs.
Any questions? Thank you. And I feel confident that our ad hoc committee will take care of the, come up with the.
I like spending money. I'm gonna spend money.
We now have the consent calendar. A motion to.
So moved.
Second.
We have item number 5. It's a request to approve an amendment number 1 to the contract with Kemen and Son Engineering Contractors of Paradise. And this is in regards to the demolition of city-owned properties on 8th Street in Old Town Victorville in the amount of $74,458. This is RDA request.
Move approval.
Second.
Item number 6, request to authorize the submittal of the Safe Routes to School grant application by adopting resolution number 09007.
Move for approval.
Second.
Item number 7, request to authorize the submittal of a financial assistance application and reimbursement resolution with the State Water Control Board to fund construction of the city's sub-regional wastewater treatment plant by adopting resolution number 09008. Our motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
Item number 8, request to authorize staff to provide an identification agreement by and between the City of Victorville and the Victorville Redevelopment Agency and approve and designate Director of Community Services as the authorized signer of related transactional documents.
Move for approval.
Second.
Item number 9, request to authorize the Director of Victorville Municipal Utility Services to sign the necessary agreements to install distribution infrastructure and interconnect the statewide electrical grid at the Southern California Logistics Airport and approve an additional appropriations in the amount of $780,240 for such installations.
Move for approval.
Second.
Item number 10 is council reports, and I'll start with the Councilman Terry Caldwell.
I have none.
I have none.
I have nothing.
And
I have nothing, thank you.
And I have none.
What?
Other than I'm tired.
You're the mayor, you gotta say something.
Not necessarily. We do have a closed session items, and I'll have Andre.
Mr. Mayor, we have a number of closed session items for the various entities. To the extent there's any action taken, we will come out at the close of at the conclusion of the closed session and report any actions that are taken that don't need further consideration by this board. Everything is fully agendized. The parties and the types of litigation are fully enumerated on the agenda.
We'll move into closed session.
Okay.
Wasn't there
Good night.
a state,
Rejected.
real property acquisition? Yeah.
Rejected, and the other ones are.
Okay, still ongoing negotiations. Okay.
What do I call Dan Halder? What did I tell him earlier? The council discussed it?
Everybody endorse it, yeah.
Endorse it, okay.
There's a reportable action out of the closed session with respect to the VAL aerospace transaction on the airport authority, and the action from the council was to allow for a 60-day extension of the lease on the condition of continued rental payments and no other abatements.